Hello friends, welcome back to another video and welcome to the channel where for the entire month of June we're going to be focusing on queer authors for Pride Month. And today's book is one that I actually only just discovered, but I'm already very excited about it. I was looking up easy queer little romances to get through, and one that came up is She Gets the Girl. First thing that caught my interest, it's by two authors. This is written by Rachel Lippincott and Allison Derrick, and I looked it up and they're married. It came out April last year. It's 381 pages. It's a hate-to-love young adult romantic comedy. And one of the authors is most known for 5 Feet Apart, which I don't think I've ever read. And then on Goodreads, Rachel, the one that wrote 5 Feet Apart, added a little note that said, "Hi, I wrote a book with my wife. Here are some fun facts." It's a story about two girls teaming up to help get the other girl's dreams, and they end up falling in love. It's enemies to lovers, it's a sapphic rom-com, dual point of view, and it's set in the freshman year of college. Genuinely, I don't care what goes on in this book, just the fact that these two ladies got to write a romance story that could be loosely based on their relationship, that's just so special to think about, and I'm very excited to see how it plays out, especially because it's two authors with dual perspective, and it's literally only $2 on Kindle, so we've got nothing to lose. So currently it's 10:52 on June 19th. We're just gonna get through this. I'm so excited. It sounds so cute.
Man, I wish it was lobster.
He's ugly.
Loser? Fucking, no, I'm not. If it's signing, I don't fucking know. That's not helping.
Then learn sign language.
Okay.
Loser.
Lobotomy.
Correct. You rub your skin.
Lotion.
Man.
I
didn't
know
even
how
think
to
of that.
play Wordle. This isn't working.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's my favorite game on here. Oh yeah.
It's 1 a.m. I just got to 20% through this book, and the two love interests are only just interacting. This is definitely going to be a slower build-up to this relationship. Like we saw with what the author was saying, it's going to be an enemies to lovers type of situation. And they've only just spoken their first words to each other, so first they have to hate, and then eventually they will love. But when you start off this book, first thing, you're introduced to Alex and then Molly. Alex is about to go to her first day of college. She has a very messy family life. Her dad is gone, her mom's a drunk. She's just not having the greatest time, and because of that, she's afraid to have intimate personal relationships with anybody because she doesn't want to show that part of her life to them. So she has a lot of one-night things, but she doesn't really have any solid friendships or relationships or anybody that she can share her life with. She very much does not want other people around, and she doesn't even realize how isolated she is until she goes off to college and she's completely on her own. Then you get introduced to Molly, who is kind of the complete opposite. She's super put together. She loves her label maker. She loves going to bed nice and early. She's got a good relationship with her parents, but her mom is her best friend. She still also doesn't have any relationships outside of this one family interaction. So with both girls, you're seeing that they don't have a lot of friends and they don't have much luck with romantic relationships. But unlike Alex, Molly wants friends. She really wishes that she were less isolated. And it's interesting because you think it's a romance, but when you see both of these characters, they both start off liking other people. And I'm really hoping that it doesn't end up with them cheating and that somehow they just both happen to break up with the other person so that they can get together. Because if one or both of them decide to cheat in order to make this relationship work, I will not be happy. But they're both talking about how they're gonna go to college and they're gonna have this fresh start. They're gonna finally be independent, and I relate to that feeling so much. All of my college experience has been online, and I so desperately crave that feeling of going into a dorm and being forced into a room with somebody, and you just have to make that connection. And then also you're in this completely different environment where you can reinvent yourself. I want that so badly, and I'm so frustrated that I haven't given myself that opportunity. But like I said, they're both either in relationships or wanting to be in relationships with other people. So Alex is with somebody who she's been in this relationship for 5 months. It's not super defined, but she promised that person that she wouldn't flirt with other people while she's away. Meanwhile, Molly has a crush on Cora, somebody that she's liked all through high school, and now they're college, they're at the same school, and she's kind of figuring out how to make that work. And then 20% through the book, they finally get brought together because Alex runs into Cora while Cora is trying to illegally buy alcohol, and Alex gets to use her good looks to buy them some. So now they're best buddies. They show up at the same party that Molly is going to in hopes of seeing Cora, and then they run into each other. And right away, they are not really happy to see the other person, and they're kind of mean to each other. So I'm interested to see how that is gonna develop throughout the story. And I'm also wondering how much of this is based on the real author's relationship. How much of this is stuff that they actually genuinely experienced, and how much were they just adding on to what they had. Either way, I think this would be a really fun way to look at your relationship and to play around with it. I'm not feeling super connected, but I think it's a nice, fun little romance to get into. I'm just desperately waiting for the love interest to get to interact more, because it's taken a fifth of the book to actually start that. Good morning, happy Wednesday, happy June 21st, which is the first day of summer. I know, my outfit's very fitting. I did just spend way too much money on 1975 tickets, but I don't want to talk about it, so let's talk about this book instead. I read for as long as I could last night. I was very tired because I had picked up an extra shift, but I got to page 185, which is 48% through, and I have to say, still not much has really happened. Like, I could continue on without updating, and you really wouldn't have missed anything, because the whole plot is that Alex is a really good flirt, and she wants Molly to get with Cora, and she wants to prove that she doesn't have to flirt with everybody. So by doing this good deed, she can prove to Natalie, her girlfriend, that she is reliable and that she is trustworthy and that she's not going around flirting with everybody because she's too busy with this actual mission. Which I really don't like the idea that she's trying to prove that she's trustworthy to this long-distance girlfriend, but the whole plot is that she and Molly get together. That doesn't feel good. I don't like where it's gonna go, and I don't like that the whole time you're reading this and you're seeing her try to do good and you see everybody try to be hopeful, you know that these two main characters are gonna at some point get together, but it is a pretty classic thing of here's 5 steps to fall in love, and then it sort of backfires, it twists around, and eventually they'll end up falling for each other. I feel like that's a pretty common thing of like, hey, I know just how to make this other person like you, and then while they're doing that, they realize that they also like this person, and then there's a conflict where the other person likes them, but you also like them. It feels like a pretty common thing, and I can understand why, because it's just fun. The fact that we're 50% through and not much has happened, I don't know, I'm just feeling bored by it, because this is almost a 400-page book. I feel like the only way it could work and that I could actually root for them is if there's this big stomach-dropping uh-oh moment where they realize they're head over heels for the other person, where they realize there's no backing out. Right now we're having this slow build-up, but I need some time where it's an actual no denial, fully in, just, oh, we're here now. I think that's kind of the only direction that this could go where I would end up rooting for them. But again, I really hope it doesn't end up with anyone cheating. I really hope that doesn't happen and that they do all communicate their feelings, because if they somehow try to keep up with these acts of wanting to be with the other people while being attracted to each other, I'm gonna be really upset. Anyways, I'm gonna go cope with my poor financial decisions, and we're gonna make some good progress on this book today. Hello, final update for this book. I definitely think the ending half of this book really redeemed it, because for the first half I was not rooting for them, but by the end I was excited to see where it was gonna go. It's really cute because at the beginning you get introduced to them and they both just have a hard time with other people. Alex because she doesn't want to let anybody in, and Molly because her mom is her best friend and she doesn't really have anybody else. She doesn't know how to socially do that type of thing. So they are each other's first proper friend, and that's already so special, and that's such a cute setup. And there's also a reason for it. It's not like they're just randomly thrown together. They're actively working together for this goal of having other girlfriends, which makes this extra tension in the later half when they're deciding, do I want to be with this person or do I want to stay with my other relationship? So overall, the whole idea of the book is already really fun. And the second half moves a lot faster just because at that point you're already kind of set up with all the characters, everything is established, so now we can move through these different plans for how to get the girl. It isn't just a romance, it does talk a lot about the characters and their family interactions. So Alex with her mom mom being drunk all the time and dealing with that, but also the pressure that it puts on her to make enough money for both of them, the pressure that your parents can put on you and how it feels like you have to do certain things, and how financially that might make sense. But personally, are you going to feel fulfilled? And the answer is probably no. And it's better to go to college for something that you want to do than something you feel like you have to do. It also goes into a little bit, Molly's mom is Korean, but she's very anti-Korean people and culture and everything like that because she was bullied when she was growing up. And it adds an extra layer to this family dynamic because when you first go into it, it seems like they're best friends, they're inseparable, everything's fine, but you get introduced to this other bad thing that comes up. You see that Molly's mom isn't perfect, and it also is an introduction to the whole mom conversation. It's a way for Alex to kind of connect with this bad mom situation. It does have a little bit of fake dating, which I knew was coming. It's such a cliche setup. It was pretty obvious that it was going to happen, but it was still enjoyable to watch it play out. And by 76%, I was fully invested in the characters and their relationships and how they were going to decide. I think the tension between what is with their current relationships and what could be with this potential new thing, I think it's done in a way that really keeps you hooked and you want to see how they're going to manage these new and old relationships, how they're gonna break stuff off, or how they're gonna initiate new things. And it's frustrating because I'm rooting for all of it. I want their old relationships to work out because they were so motivated to make those things work, but I'm also rooting for them now because they're so cute together. And then the last thing I will say is I don't know if I would say that this is necessarily hate to love. It definitely feels like opposites attract because you have Alex who's all over the place, she's very chaotic, she's just doing her own thing, and then Molly who's very put together, she's very reserved, she just keeps to herself. They have very different ways of going about life, so I can definitely see how it would be opposites, but I don't know if they ever necessarily hated each other. I think there was an initial dislike just because of how different their ways of living are, but there was no point where they're actively mean to each other. There's no point where they're not wanting to be around each other. There are some little comments thrown in or saying like, oh, she's always here to mess it up, but it never feels like there's genuine dislike between the characters, or I just have really high expectations for what it means to hate another character. But it didn't really feel like there was much turnaround with that because it didn't feel like they were particularly against the other person. But again, I think the idea was cute. I think the idea that it's written by two wives, I think that is infinitely so cute. And that is my thoughts on this book. If you like really slow building romances, if you like opposites attract, or if you just like a good sapphic love story, then this might be for you. I am doing videos focused on queer authors for all of June, so if you would like to see more things like this, you can subscribe to this channel, or if you just like my face, you can subscribe to my main channel, riverbxnd, or my Instagram, Spotify, Goodreads, Storygraph, and TikTok, which I'll have linked in the description. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.